Hello, everyone, and welcome. Thank you so much for coming to our final round of Resurge Your Business. We've had an awesome section workshop with Robin Koenig, and today is the final called Restore. So Robin, I'm going to turn it over to you, and thank you so much.
You are so welcome, and I'm happy to be kind of closing up the loop that we've been going through for the last 7-8 weeks, and it's been really fun. So we're going to talk today about marketing. It's so nice to see Morgan here from Go Be Rewarded. That's their specialty, so hopefully I've got some good nuggets to share. But let me go ahead and share my screen here, and we will get started. Excellent. All right, thumbs up, you can see that? Excellent, cool. Okay, so yes, we've been on a journey the last 7 weeks or so where we're talking about how to resurge your business like you mean business. And again, I think just to be able to reflect on the last couple of months, there's been so much change going on, so many unknowns and pivots and reactions to things and such. And so the intention of this series, if you haven't seen all of them, you can go back to the Carlsbad Chamber of Commerce website and you can actually listen to all of the workshops. They've all been recorded to be able to go on that journey of anything that might help you, stay on track, get back on track, or even prepare for 2021. We're middle of December here, so we're closing things out with the last topic, which is marketing. So I share this first quote. I should probably put this full screen. There we go. All right. I share this first quote. It's one of my absolute favorites. I'm a fan of Gary Vee. I know he's not for everybody, but he's definitely got some good nuggets that he shares. And one of his sayings that I really appreciate is the best marketing strategy ever is care. And that just really resonates. I think it resonates with a lot of people right now is, I don't know how to do marketing and I don't know how to have an online presence, whatever it is. If you keep it simple and you focus on a core principle, which is really a foundational piece that for your business is going to go the furthest, having a foundational principle, of value, something that really connects with people, and care is one of those things. And I certainly use that as I approach my business. And from a marketing perspective, that certainly resonates. So this is a reminder, again, if you've been on these workshops, you've probably seen this now for the 7th time, but I want to be able to share this one more time to show where we've gone and why we've done it in this way. So we started this whole series with energy, or talking about culture, and we worked our way around the wheel from 1 through 8, staying on the strategic side of things when we talked about strategic direction, money, and brand. And then we came back up the other side of the wheel with our tactical approaches around people or teamwork, delivery or our systems, sales, and now we do marketing. And it's extremely intentional that we do marketing last. It's our way, right? From a level 6 perspective, and also the way that I work with my clients is to focus on marketing last. And the reason is if we decide to jump into marketing and we don't have a direction in place, we don't know what we're measuring, we're not really sure if we're bringing in the right dollars or if we've got expenses, we're not really clear on our voice, the people that we have in place maybe aren't understanding what their roles are, we don't have a consistent system, we don't know how to actually convert our clients, then getting leads is going to literally do nothing for us. And actually, even worse, it could be more damaging if we don't have those other pieces in place. And so whether you are at a level 1 startup maturity from your business perspective, or as we've been working our way through these different levels, getting yourself to a scalable or even sellable place, if you've already gone through the wheel and you're getting yourself to like a level 3, which is really more about sustainability, then this marketing piece, you're ready for it. So even if you're a 1 on marketing, but you've gotten your wheel to, 2s or like 3s in all these other sections, then you're ready to put together some thoughts in regards to your marketing tactics. And the other thing I'll point out too, because we've talked a little bit about this, is marketing is essentially the tactical arm of brand. Brand is your strategic approach with your voice. And I think I have this on the next slide here. No, I had it on a different slide. But anyway, brand is your strategic approach, right? The foundation of your voice or the client experience, which is really perceived through the client's eyes. Marketing is how you're converting, right? So it really is that tactical piece, and it's across that wheel very intentionally. So as we look at this slide here, I shared this last week because the client journey, when we talk about it, is a collaboration of three things. And so 2 weeks ago, we talked about delivery, which is how you're upholding that agreement or the commitment that you've made based on what people are investing in as far as your business, right? They're investing in something. It's either a service, it's a product, and it's experience. And then last week we talked about sales, which is converting those expectations. And then today we're talking about marketing. And these three things together is what puts together that client journey and puts together the experience that as they go from never having heard of you, which then your marketing is going to be that first touch point, to them wanting to tell everybody they know about you and being that champion of your business, because you've done a great job with your sales conversion and you've upheld your agreement in your delivery process. And then your people are awesome. You've got a great brand voice. You know what you're doing as far as your money, your strategic direction is grounded, and you've got a really anabolic or positive energy when it comes to your business. That's the entire wheel right there. So this is what I was sharing earlier, right? Brand is your strategic side. It's that client experience through their lens. And then marketing is the tactical side. And it's really about identifying and engaging with ideal high probability prospects, right? And we talked about this in sales in one of my absolute favorite books, High Probability Selling, is about not looking for people that you have to convince about what you do, but people that want to invest in what it is that you provide. And all you're doing in that process is putting together a mutual basis for doing business, right? That's all that sales is. And so when you add the marketing element to it, this is really about, okay, well, where am I fishing? Where am I looking for these people? How am I identifying them? And then at the same time, engaging with them. And the key here is that they are ideal clients for you. And so an ideal client is these four things, right? It's someone that wants your help, right? Because as a business, you're solving a problem. You have a solution to something that is a pain for them, right? They want to avoid pain, so they're looking for a solution. They want your help. They can't actually afford your services, and that's relative, but there's a way for them to afford it. They're committed to doing whatever it takes to get the results that they want, right? It's their commitment, and they're ready to take action now. That is an ideal client. And once you have an understanding of that, then your marketing process is going to work a lot better instead of you trying to fish in a big pool and you don't quite know who you're looking for. So as we've been going through the various levels, that level 1 kind of being a startup, level 2 being gaining some stability, and level 3 being sustainability, when it comes to marketing, here's kind of the basics of what you can do to move yourself up through that maturity level, and some of the actions you can take. So the first step, if you're just kind of getting started, and this is just specific to marketing, is defining your marketing pipeline, right? So you've got to kind of, again, figure out where is it that you want to start to develop a process to identify and engage your leads. That's your pipeline. What's your conversion process? Like, what is it that you want them to do that's actually going to turn them from being interested and engaged into actually wanting to, invest in or buy whatever it is that you're selling? And what channels? Just defining those alone, they might not be the ones that you continue with, but you've got to start first with defining them and saying, I actually have an idea as to why I want to have this particular conversion process and use these particular channels. You might have to do a little bit of research, right? You don't want to just kind of blanket it out there and say, well, just because social media, exists, then I should be on every single platform. Do some research and chat with some people similar service, similar product, or whatever it is that you've already defined as your unique selling proposition. Can you engage with people in those channels? Just because it's a hot channel right now doesn't mean that you should be on it. And that can be really difficult if you're looking to just kind of compare yourself to others. That's, we talked about that, I think, when we were sharing about mindset. Compare and despair. It's something that gets people caught up really easily. And if you are just doing it because others are doing it and it's not working, well, then I encourage you to go back and ask yourself why. Why is it that you've chosen this particular channel? So the first piece, like I said, is just define it and start to put together a pipeline or the steps that you have in your process. How do people actually convert when it comes to generating a lead? And then what channels do you want to try out? Maybe you pick, one or two. Then the second step to that is to solidify your system, right? Just like we talked about in delivery and in sales, a system is so key, because what you really want is you want it to be consistent and you want it to be repeatable. And when you're talking about the people in your organization, it might not necessarily be a team member, but it could be a resource that they need to understand what that system is in order for them to do it, to be successful in the marketing process. So if you're a solopreneur and you're like, I don't have a marketing person, but you're using, an agency or you're using a consultant, well, then you need to make sure you have a marketing system that everybody understands. And then also what your messaging is. Now, this I say is, quote, simple, only because you've already done your brand work, right? If you're doing this in the process, then you've already identified your brand voice, then that's what you're going to be using to put together your messaging. And then the measurement piece is also extremely important, if not the most important, because you're not going to know if that particular channel or that particular process or even that particular message is working unless you measure them, right? And so those three things are super important in order to get yourself from stability into a long-term sustainability. And when you do that, then you're getting to level 3. And level 3 is just taking it up a notch. And it's tracking the goals and tracking the targets within each of those channels and then adjusting as needed. So again, if we link everything back to the fact that you've developed a strategic direction that has goals and you've already shared that, then it's just as important for your marketing system to have measurement that links right back to the goals and the targets and identifying those for each channel. So that's really where you're going to start to see some long-term sustainability. And if you find out that something isn't working, awesome. That's not a failure, right? There's something to be said for trying something and being able to know if it doesn't work. And then being able to say, great, now I don't have to even worry about that. I'm going to get that out of my view and I'm going to put that to test in somewhere else. Okay, so don't be afraid to try something, definitely measure it and then readjust. So, I talked a little bit about this idea of a system and a marketing system. And so, this is one approach that I've used before with many of my clients. And what it basically does is it takes these 5 core steps to help create those ideal and high probability prospects and understanding kind of, well, what do I do? Like, how do I actually engage them? And so it's called EO, which is 5 steps, which are identify, interrupt, engage, educate, and offer. So this is a system that you can literally go through and lay out for each of your channels, right? And figure out, well, is it a specific product or a specific service? You can really deconstruct it and apply it, which is why I really like it, because it's very intentional, as to how you would do this marketing system in each one of those product lines or service offerings that you have. So I want to give you an example. So identifying would be who do you want to reach? It kind of is a little bit repetitive, I would say, of your ideal client, but figuring out not only who, but also how many, how many people, as far as your ideal client, would you want to be able to target or connect with in order to meet your goal? Do a little bit of math. If you could, hit or target or identify a certain number of potential high probability prospects and then convert them or capture them, how would that help you get closer to your targets? Figuring out, well, where are they? What are they doing? you know, the actual list, you know, you could do some capture on that. So there's ways in order for you to say, well, I don't necessarily know where to fish for them, but you might also be able to capture an entire list of people in a particular industry. If say you're looking for, you know, residential trades, and you want to start with a list of, you know, small business owners that own landscaping companies. Okay, great. Well, one way to do that, to identify those people, is maybe contact your local chamber of commerce. You know, that could be one way to do that. And so that first step is an identification process that's going to help you then get to that second piece. Now, the second piece, and I want to also be clear too, the identification process isn't about contacting them. It's just identifying them. It's literally just making that list. Okay, so that's not scary at all. If you're like, oh, I don't even want, like, I'm scared because the whole sales process, we talked about that. Just make the list, figuring out who you want to talk to. The second one is the interrupt. And I actually really love this one because this is about getting people's attention. And one of the things that I don't think we dove too much into when we were talking about brand, but we did discuss this whole idea of red ocean and blue ocean. And if you watch that particular workshop, you know, the red ocean is where all of the competitors are, right? They're fighting it out. That's blood in the water. You know, that's where everybody's fighting for price and they're competing. Your blue ocean is where you want to live. And the way for you to do that is to bring forward your unique selling proposition. You know, identify yourself in a unique way that's not about competing with the others, but bringing your light up and being able to share that. And the interrupt is sharing what we call 3 secrets, right? It can be 1 secret. I just like 3s for some reason, but it's sharing a secret, something that you believe to be true, that you like to talk about within your business, that's going to kind of catch their attention. Huh, I never really thought of that before. You know, one example of that is in this particular methodology, when I get to tell people that we focus on marketing last, that's kind of a secret, right? Because not everybody does that. And that's what it is. It's something that not everybody does. And being able to put your stamp on that and interrupt people, get their attention, that's the key to the interrupt piece. So that could be within your messaging. It could be, you know, even just using their name, right? Being very personable with them, right? Going above and beyond and interrupting and getting their attention is that second core step. Then the third step is the engagement. Now, the engagement piece is really about kind of giving them a little bit more, right? The interrupt is like, oh, I never really thought about that. Tell me more. Well, then the third piece is the engagement. Okay, well, let me tell you why that's a really big secret. Or let me tell you why I think that's a really important part of, you know, doing this, this, and that, you know? And so you expand on it to create a connection, a conversation, which essentially is engagement. And this goes further into when we did the RATC framework and we were talking about, you know, your who, what, and why, then that's really what this is. This is your expansion in kind of getting them to understand more and bringing them more into the fold of that, you know, that lead and engagement process. And then after that, you go into the educate. And this piece, I think, is what kind of hooks people in a little bit further, because they start to realize beyond that, the no piece, they start to like you and then begin to trust you because you're giving them something that has value, right? Educate is really about, you know, either establishing yourself as an authority, sharing a little bit more about that credibility as to why that secret is important to you. It's not about, they don't necessarily need to agree with it, which is really part of the cool, like, you know, when you have confidence in what you're talking about, people don't need to necessarily agree with your approach or what it is that you're saying, but they need to find it interesting enough to stay with you, right? And so, you know, I don't try and convince people that what I'm saying is right for them, but it's what I believe. And so standing in that truth. And then the educate piece is really what's going to kind of give them that value that people are really looking for when it comes to their investment. They want to feel like there's value, you know, maybe giving them a little bit more about your story. That's part of the education piece as well. And then the last piece is making the offer. You know, what is it now that you're sharing with them that you feel strongly would be helpful as a solution that they can actually buy, you know, that they can spend their time, spend their money, spend their energy in. That's the investment piece. Make the offer. If you don't make the offer, then those 4 pieces are just going to kind of leave people hanging, and they're going to be like, okay, now what? You know, that's your call to action. That's actually going to get people now further into your pipeline to convert them into the sale. Because the sale piece, like we mentioned before, is just the conversation of coming up with the agreement. They've already decided, once they go through these 5 core steps of your marketing system, they've already decided that they want the solution that you're providing, right? So making that offer is a super important piece. And then figuring out, in each of these systems, it might be different for each specific offer. You know, you might have one for your product, you might have one for multiple services. Okay, so outline that for each one and go through that. Now, once you have your marketing system, this is where it gets super fun. So I know that this is a lot to digest, but it's one of those things that I'm kind of like, I'm a processor. And so for me, I really like to kind of have an understanding of the big picture, but then start to break things down and process it and know, okay, well, where do I want to start going first? And that's what this is. This is about understanding within your target, what are the priorities of the groups of people based on where they're at that you'd want to market to. So you can have a system, but if you're talking to the wrong group of people, then it's not going to go anywhere. And this helps, you know, this helps a small business kind of look at each piece and say, okay, well, where is their low hanging fruit? And where is it going to be a little bit harder? And how do I prioritize that work? And so the top ones, going from 1 to 9, the first priority is where you want to start. And these are the people that they're currently investing in your solution, right? They're already paying for something and they're not happy. And the interesting thing is, it's not about converting them, but it's making sure that whatever you're doing, that they are happy with it, and you don't want, it's kind of like damage control, right? So you really want to fix that first. You don't want anybody that's within your, you know, your business sphere investing in something that they're not happy with. And if the decision is that they don't want to invest anymore, that's okay, but it's super important to resolve that. So your number one priority is to approach that group first. The second group is people that are currently investing in your solution and they are happy. Now that's the lowest hanging fruit that you possibly have. These are the people that you can create a marketing system to sell them more, right? Don't be afraid to say, hey, you know what? I know you're doing this right now, and it seems like you're really, really happy, and that's awesome. What about this? And adding something else to the list. You know, they have 2 options. They can say, yes, please, or no, thank you. And either way, at least you know, and you've approached the opportunity as that. It's an opportunity. So that's your second priority, because it really is a low-hanging fruit. And those are the people that are more likely to want to continue spending their time, energy, and money in your solution. Then the third group are people that maybe they invested in your solution before and they weren't happy with it. And that's, you know, similar to the first one, this is about damage control and risk mitigation. You just don't want people floating out there that for whatever reason, you know, remove the fear associated, remove the judgment, and just make sure that you fix any kind of situation that if somebody left and they weren't happy, that you resolve that. That has a long lasting effect for the business. And so we always recommend that you resolve those. And then the fourth group is also super low hanging fruit. These are people that previously invested in your solution. They were clients of yours or customers, and they were happy with it. But for whatever reason, they're not investing now. So don't assume that they don't want to come back. You know, this could be, you call it the resell, or, you know, bringing people back. But this is a group of people that you already have information for. You already understand them to an extent. Reconnect with them. You know, reach out and talk about what it is that, you know, maybe you've got something different that could be a solution that they're seeking, or whatever the reason was before that they decided not to continue staying with your business. But reach out and at least put it out there and see what happens. Like I said, you're not going to be any further back if they're not currently investing and they decide not to anymore. It doesn't change anything. But if they do decide to come back, how awesome is that? Right? So that's an opportunity as well. Now, these last three are where we engage the marketing system, right? That we just talked about, the EO, the identify, interrupt, engage, educate, and offer. This is where that's going to be very powerful. And this is where you get to, kind of get a little bit creative too, which is awesome. So the fifth group are people that are currently investing in your competitor's solution and they're not happy. And you might be like, well, how do I know that? Well, you got to start, again, doing a little bit of research. Maybe you see stuff posting online about people, looking for something, and maybe that they were already with a competitor. It's just about doing a little bit of research and putting a system out there that's going to catch their attention, showcase what it is that you do differently, give them some value, and invite them to become a part of what it is that you're doing. That's an opportunity. Then right below that, as far as a priority, are the people that are currently investing in the competitor's solution and they're happy. Again, less likely, that's why they're number 6 on the priority list, less likely for it to be an opportunity to really grow your business, but it's not completely out of line to consider that and see if you could gain any ground. And then the 7th priority is people that know that they have a problem and they're actively looking for a solution. The reason why they're 7 is because they haven't currently invested. And so that just takes a little bit longer when you have people that haven't already put time, energy, money, like they don't have skin in the game yet. That can be a little bit harder and maybe a little bit more complicated as far as your marketing system. It might take more steps in that conversion process, but it's definitely an opportunity because there's awareness, which is what we're talking about here. There's awareness to whatever the problem is that you have a solution for, that they know that they just haven't taken that step forward to invest yet anywhere. Now, 8 and 9, it's that we would recommend putting any attention towards, or marketing dollars or marketing systems at this point, because the group of the 8th priority group of people know that they have a problem, but they don't care, right? And it's not, you're not looking to try and convince people that they should care, right? Go back to the ideal client. That's not an ideal client for you. They haven't already decided that they want to make a change. They haven't decided they can afford it. They haven't decided that they want to do something now. So that's what removes them from this target market priority, because that's not an ideal client for you, nor is the last bucket, which there's people that don't know that they have a problem. And when I say problem, I mean the problem that you have a solution for. I don't mean like they have a problem. So those 2 buckets, remove it from your landscape. You just don't need to be fishing in the biggest lake with every single fish. That's just not going to be productive for you. It's not going to be, a good use of your time and your money. And so prioritizing this way based on understanding of a problem, like the awareness of a problem within a target, is really going to be your best approach and be more efficient and more able to systematize, which is really key here, and be able to produce the results that you want as quickly as possible. So, this just goes back to, remembering the paradigm shift that we talked about from a sales perspective, right? Where if they've already agreed to enter into a sales conversation, then they've already decided that they want the solution you have, right? That was the paradigm shift we talked about last week. And so here, basically, we're just kind of expanding on that and saying, if you've implemented an effective marketing system, which is your lead generation, the nurturing process that's going to convert those leads into prospect, and your prospect has agreed to enter into that sales conversation, then all you need to do is give them the opportunity to get clear on what their expectations are and move forward. Like, it literally works hand in hand. And so it takes a lot of the fear out of sales and marketing when you put it into a whole different lens of, well, how do you approach it? Effective marketing systems that we just went through, and agreement into a sales conversation then you get clarity and you get expectations like on the map, and you move them forward into delivery, which is upholding the agreement. So I share this, this screenshot, which is actually from a fellow peer of mine that I've worked with in the past, and it's Stated Marketing. They're a marketing agency here in San Diego as well. And I thought that this was a really cool understanding or approach. And I just wanted to share this with you because I think it's very, very common for, you know, business owners, especially a small business owner like myself, to just be like, well, I'm just gonna put something out there and see what sticks, right? Like kind of, I'm small, I'm not really sure, and I'm just gonna kind of throw it out there and give it a shot. And I'm all for trying things, believe me. It's a huge part of kind of how I've gotten where I am now. But I really appreciated this perspective that it's really not about just putting, you know, throwing something on the wall, like flinging the pasta on the wall and seeing what sticks. It's about understanding that things are changing all the time. And so, you know, what they share here is that, you know, the platform and the dynamics are constantly changing, positioning, strategy, and testing. And that if you have an approach that you can put together, right, that has a focus, you can amplify your chances of connecting and standing out. And so, you know, we just went through some of this, knowing your audience, turning what it is that you know into an action. That's going back to some of our interruption, developing some really great creative or thumb-stopping creative, and promoting a single-minded message will give you an advantage, you know, blue ocean message. And then also improving your overall brand identity and continuity. I mean, all of those things are super important. And if you really take the time to consider that without just throwing the pasta on there, you know, they say here, like any pasta against a backsplash, you know, research some of that content, the various noodles. I thought that was awesome. You know, follow some of the directions and then figure out what the surface is or the marketing channel is, and then test some out. See what happens, right? But then also measure it, compare it back to your goals, and use some of your tracking to understand if that's going to work. And so, you know, agencies like Stated, for example, are experts at doing that. You know, that's definitely not my expertise, but when I work with a client and I know that there's, you know, something that they're looking to do that involves, you know, testing out some marketing strategy, they're definitely a company that I refer to because they're going to be the ones to then to put it together, to package it, to promote it, and then see that it sticks for good or gives you that long-term sustainability that you're looking for. So I wanted to share that, you know, give them a little spotlight here, but also because it's definitely a philosophy that's in line with the way that I approach marketing for my clients. And so here's a couple of tips that I wanted to share for some refresh, you know, or maybe if you haven't done it before, it's some things that you can start with. And so the first one here is assessing your digital hygiene. And that actually is from Stated Marketing. And I thought that was really cool. It's kind of like, well, what does it look like? Like, how are you maintaining it? And are you checking in on your business in the online space? And I can tell you, and, you know, Morgan can attest to this because I recently did that. And I was like, oh yeah, no, mine's not necessarily what I want it to be. You know, I hadn't checked in on that digital hygiene for my business in a while. And I realized that there were some things that needed some maintenance and some checking in. So just do that for yourself first. You don't have to know how to fix it yet, but start with assessing it and then seeing, is there something that maybe isn't as clear or as concise or working as efficiently as possible? The second piece is when you're looking at putting together some marketing, say you're at the point where you're putting together your system or your scripts, use clear yet powerful words. You know, what are they saying to your customers? And this came up recently when I was working with a client and, you know, we were talking about the word essential, which is literally like, you know, the word on the street right now, as far as a business. Are you essential? Are you non-essential? And it's kind of a relative word, to be honest. It's fairly subjective in the way that some people perceive it, right? So everybody's maybe going to have a different perspective as to what essential means to them. But if you as a business owner believe you are essential, it's okay to say that, as long as you can stand up and say, this is why. This is why we believe we are essential. And then also, are you a product or a service? There are many, many businesses out there that sometimes it's really unclear, what is it that you offer? You know, maybe you've got an awesome logo and a great brand and a wonderful tagline, but if you don't know what it is that people, you know, may want to invest in, if it's a product or a service, then it's literally going to fall dead in the water. The third one is testimonials. Testimonials are real, like they are the real life words that are talking about you and your business. And the reviews that you have to back those up are super key. So, you know, Google My Business, Yelp, Nextdoor, Alignable is a fairly new platform when it comes to small businesses. You know, getting the recommendations and the testimonials and the reviews on those platforms will definitely help you get a lot more visibility. So that's an important piece. A website refresh, if you haven't done that in a while, will help you provide clarity and reassurance to a lot of customers. Maybe they don't know if you're still open. Maybe they don't currently know, like, are you operating? Do you have different practices or services now that, you know, we've been through this, you know, COVID, you know, different operating procedures. So use your website or any other online platform to get really clear and consistent on that. So it removes a lot of the ambiguity. Ambiguity is what's going to stop people from wanting to buy or you know, hopefully come back to your place of business. Personalize your message with videos. So this can be something that a lot of people get really nervous about. And I'm not recommending here that you necessarily have to go with like a professional video, but start to think about how your voice and what you say can come to life in a more powerful way, you know, in your marketing system. That could be the way that you interrupt people. They could be like, wow, I've never actually seen the person behind that business name. Now I see their face. Now I hear their voice. You know, it could really be the interruption and the education that they're looking for. So use your website to do that. Maybe just getting a video onto your website would be great. Social media, there's lots of different ways that you can personalize your message with videos, and you can explain a lot more, give an insight, you know, do the education piece, you know, here are some tips on something, here's a how-to on what to do. People are digesting video right now more than ever. And so it's a huge opportunity with a very low investment for you to, you know, get a little bit further along in that marketing system. And then the last tip I suggest is simple is significant. So, you know, again, you don't have to try every single channel to tell everybody in the world that you're on Facebook and Instagram and Snapchat and LinkedIn and YouTube every other, you know, day. That's not necessarily going to help you. Pick one or two channels to try, measure and assess them before you jump into a more complex and potentially expensive marketing plan. So, you know, this was, again, just kind of one more piece from stated, because it just kind of reiterated what I just talked about, is that you don't have to go too crazy, you know, or as they say here, there's no need to be grandiose or on fleek, you know, just to the point professionally and poignantly, you know, like you don't have to have the perfect copy or the perfect video. There really is no such thing. And if you really look at it in a simple and focused approach, that goes back to what Gary Vee talks about, which is about caring and putting your customer front and center. That is truly what's going to move the needle when it comes to your business and your marketing. So here's a few resources. And so the first one is the one I think I've had on every single workshop, is the reference to the E-Myth Revisited. It's an excellent book that, you know, has a lot of different input from, you know, strategic direction all the way around the wheel to marketing. So I highly recommend that one by Michael Gerber. State of Marketing, you know, I gave them a couple of plugs here only because I know the work that they've done in helping many of my clients. And so I share them as a local San Diego small business that I do recommend. And then glad I put Go Be Rewarded on here because Morgan's online, but I truly believe not only are they an awesome resource, they're also a chamber member, but they have been so wonderful to work with as I'm putting forward my new marketing strategy for 2021, you know, revamping some of my website and really figuring out the best way to do, marketing and just everything that I didn't know. I didn't feel like I had to figure out. I went and found a great resource, and Go Be Rewarded is one of those right here in North County, San Diego. So definitely check them out and reach out if you've got some questions. And then the last one I put on here is because I love books and podcasts, and everybody's just digesting what they can. And if you feel like a good read over the holidays, there's a new one by Guy Raz, who's a journalist, and he's written a number of books, but this one is fairly new. It's called How I Built This. And it's an awesome collection of interviews and such with great entrepreneurs telling people's stories. And it's actually from his podcast. So if you're like, I'm not going to read a book right now, but maybe I'll listen to something, check out his podcast and you'll get little bits and pieces of it to kind of fill your bucket. And then if you choose to, the book is based on his podcast. So, I kind of just put everything together here. And I do this because I think that after the last, 7 workshops, it's really about just finding where it is. And it doesn't have to be every part of your business, but what part of the business do you want to put some time and attention towards to move you into 2021 as powerfully and clear and enthusiastic as possible? And now is that time. And I love this quote from Brenda Burchard, who's a great leadership guru, is, the time that you want the map is before you enter the woods. And we all know that things have been kind of murky and kind of, forest full of trees, and it's really hard to see things. But if you take the time right now to put a little bit of attention, even just, one thing at a time, put some attention on your people, put some attention on your finances, put some attention on your marketing, like really start to sort through those things, you're going to build a map that will serve you well as you enter the woods and get into the new year and keep you moving forward instead of stuck when it comes to things being kind of unknown or maybe less than ideal. And so if there's anything that you need when it comes to trying to sort that out, that's what I'm here for. Whether it's to do a business assessment, to provide ideas on support or resources. I mean, it's as simple as sending me an email and, hey, I'm thinking about putting some energy towards this. Do you have any suggestions? I'm full of them. So don't hesitate to reach out to me. Or if you do want to spend some time and talk about some consulting and some coaching and kind of get you where you want to go, I'm in full blast right now with clients getting 2021 in order. And I would love to do that with you. And we start with the assessment and just kind of see where you're at. And I would love to hear from you. So this is the best way to reach me. hello@robinkoenig.com. And I am very grateful to the Carlsbad Chamber of Commerce for giving me the opportunity to just share some nuggets and ideas and insights and just kind of put it out there for anybody that's seeking some help. I really, really appreciate it. So thank you so much, Kathy.
Thank you, Robin. This was fantastic. And thank you for your time. The 7 workshops were incredible. I really, really appreciate it. So thank you.
Absolutely. And thanks for being here, Morgan. It was nice to see your face.
Yes, thank you, Robin. That was awesome. I took some screenshots and I'll go back and look at the other videos too. I'm glad I came to the marketing one.
Yeah, I know. I was like, wow, that was so random. And honestly, I had already put